been a long time since I've done any sort of a cooking video, and my garden that I didn't really have my heart in doing is doing things on its own, and I have a huge harvest of tomatoes and peppers and beans and gosh, just beets, Swiss chard, you name it. But on top of that, I also had acquired quite a few more laying hens. They started out as these cute little chicks at the feed store, or actually the first batch I ordered from Murray McMurray Hatchery. I ordered 6, and you pay extra money, by the way, for doing that. And I then, when spring came, our feed store had a whole bunch of different varieties of chicks that they never had before. So of course I had to get 6 of those at some point. And one of them, unfortunately, is hurt right now. And if you pray for chickens, would you pray for my little well-summer hen, because I think she injured her hips or her legs. I'm not exactly sure. It was a really hot day too. It's possible she could have gotten a heat stroke. I just don't know. I came home to her not being able to walk, and I've been trying to nurse her, thinking that if it was an injury, I'd be able to help her recover. And so far she's not. She's eating, she's doing things like that. She's with one of my single hens in a single cage, but she's just not able to walk, and my heart is broken for her, because she's young. She's still a teenager, and she lays beautiful dark brown chocolate eggs. Anyway, I also was it was like a homeschooling thing for myself. I went ahead and kept purchasing fertile eggs through eBay, and I incubated successfully 7 silkies. And just today I found out one of them is a rooster. This what I thought was a hen decided to become a rooster after 6 months, and today was the first time he now crowed, and it was the cutest thing. Again, I thought it was a hen that kept wanting to fight with the other roosters, never crowing or whatever. It looks like a hen, doesn't have a big comb like the other ones. I'm telling a really long story, because what I'm basically trying to say is I did not realize how many cute little chicks grow up into big chickens that lay lots of eggs, and I've been getting upwards of a dozen a day. And between Atticus and I, it's like impossible to eat, and I give away a lot, but it's not enough, and we're just inundated with eggs. So there is on YouTube, I generally just watch homesteading videos, and there's a challenge going on called Every Bit Counts. I hope I'm saying that right. Every bit counts. And the entire month of August is all about preservation, even if it's just a little bit. And and that started with Three Rivers Homestead. That inspired another YouTuber that I watch, is Living Traditions Homestead, and she is the one that had a recipe for pickled, actually spicy pickled eggs. And you only do a quart's worth. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you that this is the quart that I did. But the brine, there was extra brine, and that didn't fit in the quart jar. So I should have known, because it's equal portions of 1 1/3 cups of the apple cider vinegar to 1 1/3 cups of water. Which, here's my little Pyrex that I've had since I was a very, very young bride, probably 20, and just recently I broke it. So I'm on the hunt for this very vintage Pyrex 2-cupper. That Pyrex name goes up and down, and it's red, but it's the lettering, it is clear. And my heart is broken again. I've used this for so many years, like over 40 something years, and I broke it, and it was like in an instant. And then you hear that horrible crack that you know, no, it just didn't tap the counter, it broke. So I have this out to show that there's supposed to be water involved, so 1 1/3 cups water. Plus I wanted to cry on your shoulder and tell you my sad story about my favorite Pyrex measuring cup. Then, anyway, so it's a spicy pickled eggs that you keep in the refrigerator, and you can keep it for a good long time. It actually needs to, I get confused on what is fermenting and what is just pickling, quick pickling, but I'll get it, and I'm learning. But this is basically pickling, and you don't water bath process it. You just put it in the refrigerator. But again, the brine, there was extra brine, and I thought, let me make some more eggs, and I'll put it in a pint jar. But let me tell you what the quart jar recipe is, and I already started out. It's 1 1/3 cups of apple cider vinegar, and it's 1 1/3 cups of water, so equal portions. Then you put that into an empty jar, which was this. In a second jar, you add a 1/2 teaspoon of black peppercorns, and I just got these today. I had to scrounge at the bottom of one of my peppercorn holders, the last of my peppercorns, to do this jar, and I think it's the rainbow kind. But I just got some new peppercorns today, black. Then it's 1 1/3 tablespoons of pink Himalayan salt. This is the brand that I use. I have used for a long time, and I ran out. And I had only enough to do the brine. So peppercorns and the brine. But then out of my garden, I have some jalapeno peppers, and it takes 2 for the quart, sliced and seeded jalapeno peppers, and then you're going to peel and mash gently with a knife, with the side of a knife, 2 cloves of garlic. The garlic, the peppers, and the peppercorns go into the bottom of, well, it's supposed to be put in the bottom, but I decided to layer mine. And then it includes, and in the recipe it says 11 hard-boiled eggs, but mine fit 12, which was good for me because I get to use up more eggs. So I went ahead and I just filled up another saucepan and hard-boiled these eggs, and I'll see what can fit into here with this brine back here. So I'm going to go ahead and so I'm going to go ahead and just use this brine, which already has the 3 ingredients needed. The salt and the vinegar and the water are all put into one jar, and the salt is dissolved. And you don't have to heat it up either. You just stir it around and get it to dissolve, while the other ingredients are put into a second jar, and then you end up pouring the liquid into the jar with the spices and the peppers and the eggs. So what I'm going to do is just cut it in half, and I'm going to use this amount for this jar for these eggs with this brine, and then I'll be back. I don't know in the editing process how much of this is going to be cut away, but I'm certainly not going to make you watch me peel all of these eggs. Fresh eggs have a tendency to stick to the shell. And but these are doing pretty good. I think I've had these in the refrigerator a couple of weeks. And just FYI, when you get your eggs from the market, they're probably already about 6 weeks old. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the eggs in the jar and see how many I can fit in. The other thing too is that I listened to the fact that in preservation I can also take the eggshells, which I usually use in the garden anyway, but I can go ahead and put them in the oven and let them get really dried out and crush them up and put them in a jar and then feed them to my chickens as calcium. So this one's going to be a little more difficult. The fresher the egg, the more it sticks. Wow. Let me move on. Well, I'm thinking I'm just going to have not so pretty eggs in this one particular jar. Because I am not going to make more eggs. Night is beginning to fall. And I want to watch a movie tonight. We finished watching Poldark for the second time. It's one of my favorite Masterpiece Theater television shows. And that's a pretty one. Getting there. I do sterilize my sink, but I have, paper towels. I was going to talk about that. So, originally I resisted having paper towels that were perforated so you can have half a paper towel. And then I discovered that I really liked it because I could have 2.5 if I needed to have a larger piece and all that jazz. Then they invented the paper towel that not only is in half, but is perforated so you can get, you didn't see that. This magic trick isn't working. It's perforated. It's like my egg. This is the pint jar, and this is the quart. Anyway, they come in squares. It's called Terra Square. And I'm really surprised how often I use a little square of paper towel, which I am not going to abuse by not using later. I will use it. Because don't forget, paper towels were one of the first things, actually the second thing that flew off the shelves in 2020. It was toilet paper. That was number 1. How many is that? That's 2, 4, there's 6 so far. I think I can get a 7th one in. So this one that's not going to be very pretty. It was really difficult. You know what? This just isn't going to work. So, I'm going to use the one that looks like a Martian's helmet. And those are his eyes. A UFO, alien being. Let's see if it goes inside. Oh, I think okay. 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 Okay, I'm not sure about this. I really want this one to go in. I really, really do. Okay. So yes, I know I'm cutting on a paper towel. It's on a square. Actually, I'm going to take the top off. That would have been the smarter thing to do. And I'm going to seed it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who know an easier way of doing it. Maybe not. Maybe this is the way. And I should be using a cutting board, but I'm very, very careful because I'm skilled. So I'm making these little rings. And what I should have done is put it either at the bottom or layered it, the eggs. But I'm going to take that Martian egg out. I'm going to put the peppers in some little spaces. Actually, I'm going to take one more out. No. And then the homesteaders, they take a big bladed knife and they smash it, and it scares me. So I can't do that. I just can't. So my kitchen tool of choice is a hammer. Did you see that? Oh, let's not forget the peppercorns. And because it's half, I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of peppercorns. So I'm going to, remember, I used to be a Tupperware lady. Here's 1/4. And now I'm going to see about the brine. And you don't have to worry about the headspace. Wow, look at that. There's no headspace issue. The only thing is I'm the alien needs to leave. So sorry. So I have 6 eggs inside. If I would have filled in that gap, I'll bet I could have gotten that 7th one in. So anyway, then now what you do is you just get a lid, and I'm going to use one of these plastic lids. I'm going to take it off my peppercorn thing, put a new one on. I have it in a different area, different spot. And then you have your spicy pickled jalapeno, pickled eggs. It says that it can, you need to wait for 3 days before you eat it, and it stays in the fridge probably for a couple of months. But I have 6 and then 12 in my quart jar, so that makes 18 pickled eggs. I can't wait to try them. And I hope you enjoy. God bless.